Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know who's building back better in reality? I thought this guy had a lot of star potential, and so far he's living up to expectations. Javier Milei in Argentina. Annualized inflation in Argentina was running at 26% when Milei took over. It's 4.2% now. So it's still punishing, but
they're going in the right direction.
That's a big move in a short period of time, partly because Milei, an economist, understands the basics. He famously said, if printing money could end poverty, printing diplomas could end stupidity. And we know that doesn't work. That's because essentially what so many universities do these days is print diplomas, and high schools for that matter. So Milei, he's moving a legislative agenda. Can he govern? Yeah, actually he can, at least so far. Mary Anastasia O'Grady had a good piece about Milei in Argentina this week in the Wall Street Journal, where she notes his, albeit scaled back, but his legislative agenda is moving through the legislature there in Argentina. And but he still has one big thing to do, something that he promised to do. As she writes, all well and good except for one thing in terms of him moving forward. I'm saying his legislative agenda, as I was saying. Everything Milei is doing can be undone by the next president, including fiscal balance and price stability. If he wants to make Argentina a booming destination for capital, he will put the Argentine state in a straitjacket by closing the central bank and doing the one thing from which politicians cannot escape: dollarize. And it's additionally interesting that that was his commitment. And O'Grady, I think, is probably arguing that he needs to get about moving forward on that commitment. In a time when, our petrodollar agreement with Saudi Arabia expired and was not renewed, and there's all this concern, some of it legitimate, about America's place as the reserve currency, because to lose that status as the world's reserve currency would certainly be detrimental to our economic well-being. For more on this and other matters, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of GovZilla. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Steve? Do we have Steve?
Oh, sorry about that, Dan. I was muted. Can you hear me now?
These guys, these old men and the mute buttons on their phones are mystifying. I know.
2-0 this morning on that.
I'm getting old. Anyway, I was going to say that I agree with everything you said except one thing, Dan. You said their inflation rate was running at 26%. Are you kidding? I mean, in a recent year, they had inflation of over 100%.
No, I was just saying when he took over, when Milei took over, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it just got so bad that people literally, I mean, you talk about dollarizing, the economy was de facto dollarizing because nobody ever even used the Argentine peso anymore. I mean, it was at some point it was practically not even worth the paper it was written on. And this isn't what happens, by the way, every time you have these runaway progressive left-wing Marxist governments where they keep, this is for the people and blah, blah, blah. And they bankrupt the country. They destroy the currency. They run up their debt. Oh, wait. That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Where have we seen that? Oh, yeah, that's happening in slow motion in Washington, D.C. right now.
Well, but I mean, it has to be encouraging to see what Milei is doing and finding some initial success, not just because of it turns around Argentina, which is an important country, an important economy, but also it provides a model that will be replicated because people like to follow successful models.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting about the Argentine and really actually heartbreaking about the Argentina story is that I think you guys know this because you're a great students of history, but back at the turn of the last century, when around 1900, Argentina was like the fourth or fifth richest country in the world. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And in fact, it had a per capita GDP that was only slightly lower than the United States, which is hard to believe, that you could screw things up that. Then what happened, of course, was that the Perón came into power,
right,
and they were celebrated by the left. I mean, my God, they Evita is all about Eva Perón and what a great leader she was. Of course, she was a tyrant, and she destroyed the country as well as her husband. But they're still, held up as heroes. They destroyed the country, and it went from one of the richest countries in the world to one of the poorest countries in South America. And it's hard to believe.
And ironically, Madonna, who played Eva Perón in the movie, destroyed America. So see the symmetry there.
And a plastic surgeon destroyed her face.
Well, yeah, turnabout's fair play.
That guy should be fired.
Yeah, well.
But why is it, this is the problem. There's a serious point here, which is we cannot allow, as free market lovers of liberty, we win the debates, but they write the history, right? And they rewrite the history. I mean, you have all these historians, Che Guevara, all these great leaders, who brought Marxism. They still think Fidel Castro was a hero.
Well, talking a little bit more locally, since most of our listeners are not going to move to Buenos Aires anytime soon. Where are we with inflation, consumer sentiment? How are people generally feeling about making ends meet?
So I wrote my column this week. I have a column that'll be in the Wall Street Journal, I think, on Friday, and I'll give you a sneak preview of it because it's really close to the question you asked. And so I want people to understand that there was. Have you guys ever heard of something called modern monetary theory?
Of course.
Yeah.
You think
well,
we are
for those
troglodytes?
who don't follow this stuff that closely, I mean, I know you, Dan, and Amy. Amy's more of a normal person.
Yes,
yeah. I think there's a compliment in there somewhere.
Right. So for people who that is a compliment. Yes, absolutely. And so the modern monetary theory was this really crackpot idea that a bunch of these economists came up with at some second-rate universities that said, hey, a country like the United States, we could just spend and spend and spend and borrow and borrow and borrow, and we can use essentially the Argentina model, right? And we can use it here in the United States, and it'll be great, and everybody will do better. And then, we also, people like you and me, Dan, we laughed at this idea because it was such an idiotic idea. But Biden basically came in and said, yeah, let's do this. People like Paul Krugman, a Nobel Prize winner, said, yeah, remember the Obama stimulus that didn't work? Remember that, Dan?
I do, yes. The fund shovel-ready projects. Yes, oh, yes.
Yeah, all that stuff. Well, it didn't work. The economy went into the ditch. And so what did they say? Oh, you know what? We didn't spend enough money. If we spent 5 times more money. So Biden tried that. And now this is a long-winded way to say that, there's a reason that everything you buy is 25% more expensive than it was 3.5 years ago.
I know, but
you borrow and your prices go through the roof.
Right, and we handed out tens of thousands, millions, trillions of dollars to Americans during COVID.
That's right.
What I learned yesterday on FoxNews.com, the average Wisconsin family is paying $976 more a month for the basket. And the basket is like groceries, gas, homeowners insurance, which is true, car insurance. My car insurance went up 35%. Electric bill, gas bill. How are you? Are you? And I don't know if you're working with him, President Trump, on the debate, which is a week from tomorrow. How are you helping him get that message across, and what a solution or plan that he has?
Well, look, we're going to make first of all, this is not a complicated answer because, and I have talked to Trump about this, but Trump's going to do what he's going to do. And he's good in these debates. He's simply going to say, look, when I was president, the inflation rate was 2%. When Biden was president, it went up to 9%, and we're still, at about 4% inflation. And so I think you just do the compare and contrast. We did not have an inflation problem when Donald Trump was president. In fact, when he left office, the inflation rate was 1.6%. And I mean, I laugh now, Dan and Amy, when I read these stories in the New York Times. Well, the reason the inflation is high under Biden is because of Trump. Oh, really? We didn't have any inflation under Trump. So I think that's the case. But really, if Biden loses this election, which I think he probably will, it will be in no small part because inflation is just a killer. It's destroying middle-class families. You were saying, what was the number, 900 something a month?
$976 more a month.
Yeah, so let's round that up. Let's do the math. Let's say it's 1,000.
Yeah,
it's a
so
little less than 1,000.
Where are we getting that extra $12,000?
Yes, and that's, you know what, Amy? That is a tax. In other words, I remember this. I'm not going to tax anybody who makes less than $400,000. Ladies and gentlemen, if you buy gas, if you pay a heating bill, if you pay a rental payment, if you go out to McDonald's, you are paying every time you go. Thank you, Joe Biden. You're paying a Joe Biden inflation tax. I mean, my God, a Big Mac meal is now $12.
I know.
A family of four goes to McDonald's. It's a $50. People can't.
We
even
went to
afford
Chipotle
McDonald's
and it was
anymore.
40 for two people at Chipotle, $42.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
and right, and then the AI clown's mouth at McDonald's doesn't work, so that's not fun either.
Yeah.
So,
But guys, do you remember the dollar menu? They used some
yeah,
of those
that was fun.
That doesn't exist anymore. Even the Bop, first it was the Whopper. That was you could get that for 99
You're
cents.
making me
And then it was
hungry.
the Whopper Junior that was 99 cents. Now the Whopper Junior is like $4.
yeah, they don't have a dollar menu at Lane Mod where I dine. Yeah, so I don't know what you guys are talking about, but whatever. So a question about the action the big guy took, much telegraphed over the last couple of weeks, yesterday on providing path to citizenship for 500,000 spouses of American citizens who are here illegally, all part of the Build Back Better vision, Steve?
This is with respect to the migrants you're talking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact parameters. I haven't looked exactly at the details of the plan. But by the way, if someone is in the country and they marry an American citizen, don't they automatically?
Not if they came here illegally.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, look, this is very clear, folks. And by the way, as you know, I say this every time on your show, I'm very pro-immigration. I think immigrants are incredibly important contributors to our economy. They do so much of the great hard work in this country, and we couldn't run our economy without the great contributions of our immigrants from all over the world. But now you've got 8 to 10 to 12 million illegals in the country. It is a huge, huge political problem. It's contaminating our whole immigration system. And then the question is why? Why is it that Joe Biden has let 8 to 12 million illegals into the country? And I think most inquiring minds know the answer to that question. It's because they want think about only 10% of those illegal immigrants, but that could easily determine the outcome of the election.
So, Trump on the stump is talking mass deportations, as you've undoubtedly heard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
is there any modification you would make to his rhetorical approach to immigration?
It's going to take years and years and years to undo the damage that Joe Biden has done to our immigration system. What do you do about these 8 to 10 million people that are in here in the country now? I mean, I don't know, Dan. I don't know what the solution to this. I don't want to see mass deportations. But on the other hand, anyone who's a criminal, you should be out. Anyone who cannot take care of themselves and collecting, government benefits and welfare. No, we can't provide welfare to everybody in the world. They're out. If a person is in the country, I'm just making this up as I go along. I don't know the solution, but what do you guys think about this? If they've not committed a crime other than coming into the country illegally, if they have a job, if they're working, if they're self-reliant, then maybe I'd say, okay, we'll give you, 5 or 6 years kind of probation thing. I don't know. I mean, what do you think is the solution to this? I don't really know.
I mean, I think the instinct, the commonsensical instinct that most people have is right, which is there's a rank order priority since the problem is so big. And the first thing you do is remove anybody who has committed a crime in addition to being here illegally.
Absolutely.
And that alone would be in the hundreds of thousands probably.
Right.
So that would be a start. Prove you can do that, and then we'll have a conversation about all of the other cohorts within the illegal immigrant group. But I mean, generally speaking, I'm because of the way that this has been handled by both parties for the last since '86, I'm pretty. I'm less and less sympathetic to anybody staying here illegally who came here illegally, especially with the number of people wanting to get in legally. So I think there's a back of the line at minimum that has to happen.
Well, one thing you could do, Dan and Amy, is you could have a system where, okay, if you're in the country illegally, get out. You have to get out. And then if you actually leave, and then you could apply for a visa, but you can't stay here. You got to go back. You're here in the country illegally. And look, we need.
I agree with you. I'm pro legal immigration too, but there has to be some sort of resetting of the table here under a legal regime that is knowable, that is simplified, and that is enforced.
And, the problem is, Dan, that the left, as soon as you try to deport a single person, oh, my God, they're putting them in cages. Remember that? They're going to put them in cages, the kids. And by the way, the Biden is the person who's put these people in cages, not Trump.
Hunter Biden likes his kids in cages.
Hey, now.
But
what if they have kids?
Wait a minute.
You mentioned
Amy,
kids.
I want to hear Amy's solution to this problem.
I think that if they have children that they are raising, dad or mom, parents are so important. Nobody can take their jobs. As long as they have kids, they've not broken any laws. They're contributing to society, and they're not, sucking off, of government. Then I think that they can stay.
You've got a good heart. You've got a good heart, Amy.
I'm a bleeding heart Republican. You didn't know that?
All right, Steve. Steve, before we let you go, since you're inside hanging with all the movers and shakers and power brokers and impresarios and so forth, so who do you think is going to be Trump's running mate?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, I think that I'm going to say this, and I know some people are going to cringe when I say this, but if Trump wants to win, which he does, he's got to pick Nikki Haley. And
Thank
Nikki
you.
Haley
I have been saying that since day
moves the needle.
one.
And I'm not a huge fan like you are, but I know I like Nikki Haley. I'm not. I think there are better people than her, but
if he wants to
would
win,
help Trump by 2 or 3 points, and that could make all the difference. Dan, you're the tiebreaker here.
Just do it to we can. Kamala and her can debate because she will destroy her, and she can as a woman. If a man is there, a man cannot do what Nikki Haley could do.
Well, fine. I'll go get a freshman from Willows Academy. I mean, that would destroy Kamala Harris in a debate, but that's easy. No, I'm not on board with that, Steve. Okay. I am absolutely not on board with that.
Who are you?
Well, I mean, it has to be a legacy pick. I mean, you have to think about 28 and beyond. So, so my dream, what I think. First of all, I don't think the VP matters that much. I still don't think it, even in this context. So I would say DeSantis. And if you can't reconcile with DeSantis, then I say Sarah Sanders. And I'd be fine with Tim Scott. And I'd be fine with J.D. Vance. That's sort of where I'm at.
J.D. Vance, he's a big government Republican.
What do you want me to say? I mean, a big government, but which?
They're all big
other than Mike Lee and Rand Paul, who's not a big government Republican to some extent, but also, by the way, Trump is a big government Republican. I hate to break it to you.
Some ways, yeah. No, I'll throw a name out there that I think would be absolutely a total home run, and that is Kim Reynolds, the governor of Iowa.
I like Kim Reynolds, but she's 70.
She
looks great.
Good.
I know, but I mean,
I'm just saying I didn't know she was 70.
We're all getting older.
70 is the new 60, Dan. Easy.
All right.
Exactly.
All right. Wait. Before I let you go, I mean, I got some problems with the whole, sort of protectionist American first disposition and J.D. Vance. But what specifically are you focused on with Vance when you call him a big government Republican?
Oh, he's, basically supports all these big government spending programs, and he wants to regulate businesses. You look at I'll send you his record. He is siding with the Democrats on a lot of these issues. He was in favor of the CHIPS Act, the corporate welfare bill.
Right, because he was going to chip maker in Ohio, exactly that kind of stuff. No, I agree with that. I think that's fair criticism. All right, thanks as always, Steve. Economist, Govzilla author Steve Moore. Thank you, Steve.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, My guidance cost you nothing.